This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Have you been struggling lately? Maybe you're having trouble sleeping, difficulty with the relationship, or just suffering from self doubt. Now, y'all know there's no shame in my game, and life has been lifing lately. Trying to manage the priorities of being a wife, mom, friend, and full time entrepreneur, it can get overwhelming. If this sounds like you, then BetterHelp wants to help you today. BetterHelp offers licensed therapists who are trained to listen and help you. Talk to a therapist in a private online environment at your convenience. There are over 20,000 therapists in BetterHelp's network, which gives you access to help that may not be available in your area. All you have to do is fill out a questionnaire to assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. How cool is that? Then you schedule secure video and phone sessions. Plus, you can exchange unlimited messages, and everything you share is completely confidential. You can also request a new therapist anytime at no additional charge. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced therapist from BetterHelp. There's a special offer to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast listeners. You get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/slang. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/slang, SLAYING. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of Slaying Self-Doubt Podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. Welcome to all the new Slayers joining our movement. Hey y'all, hey. No matter how you found us, whether it was by way of a solo episode, guest episode, you seen me on Instagram, YouTube, you've seen an interview, you read an interview, wherever you found me. I'm just glad that you're here, glad you were on this journey, and I thank you for being here. Hopefully you are able to take some information and it makes an impact and you're able to share it with other people. And as we're talking about sharing, while you're listening to this episode, if there's something in here that makes you say, oh, that's a word, or okay, then I see what she's saying, or let me go back and listen to the last episode, I want to tell you, share this episode and whatever episode you listen to with at least 10 people. We are trying to hit 10,000 downloads. No, we're trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year. That is the goal for 2023. And so I need you to share with at least 10 people so that we can reach that goal by the end of 2023. Okay. Real quick with just updates and just news. Talk to me Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I am digging into the podcast episodes. I recognize that everyone doesn't listen to the episode. So if you are listening to this and you want to come and join me, you want to come and say something, share your thoughts, I'd love to be able to talk to you. I can bring you on. The lives are about 15-20 minutes, so it's not taking up a whole lot of time. You could just be listening to you while you're in the car, while you're on your lunch break, whatever the case may be. But I'm just kind of going over what we are talking about here for those people who don't listen. So if you are listening to the episode, I would love for you to join me and give me some of your takeaways. If you are listening to this and you have a business, a product, you sell services, and you want to be able to share your business, product, or services with a podcast that is now it now has 60,000 downloads. So remember, I just said we're trying to hit 100,000, right? We're trying to hit 100,000 downloads, and we just hit 60 this week. Okay, so if you want to share your business, your product, or your service on an episode, on a podcast that is in 50 countries, 50 plus countries, and has hit 60,000 downloads, make sure that you partner with us. You can check the link on you go to the you go to the website and you can click advertise with us. The link in my bio on Instagram or in the show notes here and we can get to going. Okay, so I'm going to hop into today's episode really quickly because number one is late, but whatever. We're not even about to talk about that. So this episode, we're talking about taking inventory. So if you've been listening, which I hope you have, this year is the year of doing. That is what we have been talking about over the last couple of weeks. And I started this year off, this season off with just sharing to you the importance of doing and why I was saying like, it's important for me to do, right? Because we be talking about it. We just a whole lot of Hollywood talk, and we're not really doing anything. We're not putting any words behind what we say we're going to do. And so I wanted to share this story of something that happened to me in the early part of December. I got some disappointing news about something that had been in the works for over a year. And last week I talked about getting out your feelings, right? Really discussing, recognizing what you're feeling, right? Knowing the fact that if you don't get your feelings out, you change your energy in your households. Getting your feelings out so they don't eat you up, and so you don't, end up having resentment and bitterness. Like, it's important to get out your feelings in any way possible. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's working with a coach, whether that's working with a therapist. Y'all know me, always Jesus in therapy. Whether or not it's journaling, sharing with a trusted friend, whatever it is that you may need, we want to get those feelings out. And so as I was sharing the story, I was saying that was the first thing I realized, like in that moment of getting that disappointing news, I was so frustrated with what was happening, because for me, I had hyped up this situation so much for myself that I was, again, out here spending lottery money and I hadn't even bought a ticket, right? And so as I, realized, okay, I need to do something differently, I went on this walk. And as I'm out there on this walk, talking to God, sharing how I'm feeling, sharing, what my feelings are about the current situation, I literally had this moment where God was like, okay, I don't think that you understand what's really happening. I don't think that you understand what I'm really trying to do in your life, right? And so in that moment of feeling frustrated about this one thing, God told me, like, take inventory. I really need you to take inventory, Bun. Like, take inventory of what's happening. So today we're going to talk about these 3 ways that you need to take inventory, right? The first way you need to take inventory is about what has happened. In that moment, I was so frustrated about what was not going right for me, what I wanted to happen in that moment, that I was so disappointed in myself. I was disappointed in God. Like, cause I told y'all I was out here like, Slim, you out here could have told me like, this some Bama stuff out here that you doing. You got me all excited about this. And then you out here, right? Like this ain't coming through. Like, what's up, right? And a lot of times when those things happen, we tend to lose our faith and our trust in God because of one instance, one thing that just did not happen. And God told me on that day was like, what has happened? I want you to think back, right? I want you to think back to the last year. Mind you, this happened in December of 2022. So it's like, I want you to think back on everything that happened. I'm gonna just give me 2022. Okay. And I was like, okay, so if I really had to think about what happened in, about what was going on, that I felt like nothing was going right for me. I'm like, okay, you were you were oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Okay. You were in an article about, doing Women's History Month. Back in March, I did a feature on me. That's the word I was thinking about. Did a feature on me. And it came as a complete surprise. Like, I literally had no idea. And I just was like, me? Like, oh, okay. That was one thing that happened, right? Another thing was I had my first, speaking engagement, right? Where I was feeling like after that speaking engagement, I was able to say, like, I'm a speaker now, right? That was something that I felt like, oh my gosh, I get to say this. I get to say out loud that I'm a speaker because God has given me this opportunity to speak. And it was on a panel, right? But it still was a moment for me that was like, this is so dope. Like, this is what I get to do. This is this is what I had been working for, right? Just in this moment, it was just that little bit, like just a panel of me being on, but it was still me, my name. Like, here I am expressing what Slaying Self-Doubt is and what it is that I'm doing. Then I get another opportunity for Slaying Self-Doubt to do some media coverage, completely new to me, but God opened my eyes to something else. Then I get asked to be the keynote speaker for another event, and I'm like, what the crap? On top of all of these things are happening within my house, and then like in my family, and my son gets into the school that he has been wanting, that he wanted to get into for high school. And at the same time, we're praying for, financial aid to be able to do this. And God makes it happen. Like, all these things had happened, had that they had already happened. And I believed for that, and it came through, right? And then, but because this one thing don't happen, I'm gonna act like you not, I don't have your favor. I'm gonna act like that you not trustworthy. I'm gonna act like that you not faithful. I'm gonna act like that you ain't never done nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be clear, we all do the same thing. When things don't go our way and we get disappointing news, we are looking at God like, what's up? Like, what you doing out here? Like, I thought we was I thought we was here. And we tend to second guess all the things that have happened because of one thing that didn't happen. And the thing about it is that God has never said that everything that you ask for, everything that you pray for is going to happen. What he is clear about is that all things work together for his good. All things, good, bad, or indifferent, they all work together for his good, and they all work together for you, right? It is all to be able to move you into the direction that he wants to go. The difficulty part is that when we get to moving and we're in this doing process this whole year, I want y'all to remember that it's not your will, it's not your plan, it's not what you want to happen. This is literally when you are taking step by step. It is literally the life, the plan that God has designed for you. And what happens is that when we insert ourselves and we become selfish and we are concerned with what it looks like, how it doesn't work out for us in this time frame, or in this in the time frame it's supposed to happen, or what it's supposed to look, all of that other stuff, that's when you get thrown off. That's when things don't work out the way it should work, or when you get frustrated, right? And now you in your feelings about something that for real, it ain't even yours to begin with. So you out here lunching off of something that you don't have no control over. I said this before over the last couple of episodes. Like, God is it is worried about your obedience, not your results. At the end of the day, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. It's already done. It's done. Like, your life is planned out for you. I've already said this. But what we get frustrated with is that when it's not going the way we want to go, we want to point the blame. And God is saying, take inventory of what I've already done. I've said this multiple times. You've run God's track record back, baby. It is unmatched. When you think about the things that you have prayed for and he did not give you, and you later on be like, Lord, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you did not answer that prayer. Hey, like, because if that was me, honey, I would not have been able to survive that, right? Or the times that you have been able to survive things that you can look back and say, I did not think I was going to make it. I remember, like, there are moments in my life where I can say, I remember the day that I thought this was the worst day of my life, the worst hour, the worst moment. And I'm sitting here saying, I overcame that. I'm sitting here saying that I trusted God through that and he got me here, right? And so when you are in these spaces where you are frustrated because things did not go your way and you get some disappointing news, and once you are out of your feelings, like, again, feel the way you're going to feel, that was last week, but once I want you to take inventory of what has happened, right? And then I want you to take inventory of what is happening. What is current? What is happening in this very moment? Correct. So, in that disappointing news, when I read the email, it was not a denial. It literally was a delay, right? And at the same time of the delay, right, an overarching delay, there was still someone working on my behalf, because the person who sent it to me said, I know this is what it says, but I'm going to go talk to somebody else and I'm going to see and I'll let you know, right? We tend to take the first no and be like, I mean, well, I guess da da da. Like come. Let's keep it 100 right now. Had this been a different time in my life, I'm telling you, I would have looked at that email, seen the response, been like, yeah, okay, whatever. Called whoever I was gonna call, probably my sisters, maybe my mother. My husband was asleep at the time. I would have I wouldn't have woke him up, but I would have held on to that and been like, see, this the reason why. Cause that's what we do. We be like, this the reason why I don't do this. I guess it's not working. I would have went down this spiral and would have been talking about how it's not going to work, all this other stuff. And that is also not showing my faith in God, right? Because there are things that are happening currently, right? We say this, but do we believe it when we say, it's a denial, it's not a denial, it's a delay, right? When we say those things, do we really believe that? Do you act like it's a delay or do you act like it's a denial? Are you out here cussing and fussing and acting up and doing a whole bunch of stuff because you mad that it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out? That's why I said last week, you have to be mindful of your energy, because whatever you giving people and whatever you're putting out there, that can work for you or against you in that current situation, right? And so when I had to think about what is happening, I said to myself for that moment, it was like, okay, girl, like it's not happening right now. It don't seem like it. However, if it did happen, what would change about what is happening in your life at this moment? Like if it doesn't happen, what changes about today? Do you still have work you need to do? Do you still have a podcast that you have to go record? Do you still have clients that you need to do notes on? Do you still have content that you need to push out? Do you still have emails that you need to send? Do you still have stuff that is happening on this day besides the disappointing news that you got? Do you still have work to do? I can guarantee you the answer is yes. You still have work to do. But because we get so caught up in the disappointing news, we forget all about that. We act like and don't nothing else matters. Then that's when procrastination comes in. Then that's when we delay all the other stuff that's going on because we got to give into this feeling of me being disappointed about this thing, and we take it too far. Again, hear me when I say this. I am not telling you not to feel the disappointment. I'm not telling you not to feel the irritation. What I'm telling you is that I tell you in all things, do not sit in it, because then that feeling, you turn it into an either a positive action or you turn it into a negative action. That's the choices that you have. You have a choice to make in the matter, even when you're feeling your disappointment, right? And so, of course, in that moment, I'm still thinking about all the things that, oh God, like, yeah. Okay, God, I see. I know what you did for me, and I see what's happening right now, and I'm grateful. Like, at my prayer, instead of me being like, you Obama, right? Like I said, I was like, okay, Lord, I thank you. I thank you that I even have the opportunity to be able to be put in this position. I thank you that that I don't need it. Okay. Let me thank you, God, that I don't need it. I want it. There's a difference, right? I want this situation to work out, but I am not in a desperate situation where I need it to work out, right? I'm grateful that this is even a part of the plan, because it was never supposed to be, right? So when I start thinking about what has happened and what is happening, I'm sitting here like, Lord, like, God is still working. You are still working. You are still working. Like, you are still working. And it changed my whole like, I immediately, my whole mood changed. I went from disappointing to being like faith filled, right? Because I was like, you are still, how many other times have I been in this situation? My God, like, how many times have I been in a situation where you said not right now, not no, but you said not right now. And before I treated it completely different way, but then it works out however it's going to work out, right? And I had to trust that if those things happened before, then this going to work out the same way. It may not look like what I think it's going to look like, It may not pan out in the perfect way that I planned it for myself. It may not be the exact replica of what I wanted it to be. It may take a little longer, but ultimately it's going to happen. I had to believe that in that moment. And then the third thing happened. I had to think about what was coming. Because I said, now I know these things happened, right? All this year I had to think about what were all the things that happened, and then what is happening at this very moment. And then I said, what is coming? And I had to take a pause because I said, girl, you out here bugging. Like, you didn't just get booked for 2 speaking engagements for 2023. Paid. Okay. Invoices sent. You out here bugging like God has not given you assignments for the next thing that's supposed to come. You, again, like I said, you got work to do. You out here lunching, and it's not like he hasn't put people in your path and connected you with people, and people have reached out, and there's still things like the ball is still moving. Just because this one thing you went over this rock, right? You want to stop at the rock, you want to check your wheels, you want to check your kickstand, you want to stand there and you want the rock to move. And he like, keep going, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna take inventory of what is happening. This is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna keep it moving. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just keep it moving, because at the end of the day, that's all I can do. That is all I have control over. And by the end of that walk, that was what I left out with. Girl, you are only in control of you. You are only in control of what you can do. You are also in control of what you cannot do. You are also in control of how you feel about what is happening. That's the only control you have. You don't have no results. You're not in control of the outcome, but how you change, how you think about a situation, how you react to a situation, how you where you put your energy at. I believe that it will determine the outcome, right? And so after the walk, I get in the car and I share this on my social media. I put a link in the episode so you can see the video. I share the reel, and I just was like, I'm gonna get to work, because I ain't got nothing else. Like, I was like, at that point, it was just like, yeah, I felt this thing. This is having taken inventory, but I still have to move. I still have to get to work. Like this, that was the start of, this is the year of doing, right? 2023 is the year of doing. I have to do. I have to keep moving despite the delay. And can I tell you that by the end of the same day, not a different day, but the same day, not even, it might have been like a couple of hours. I don't know. But I received a text message that said, basically, that doesn't apply to you. This is still moving forward. Don't worry about it. Maybe a little, we may have a couple of little tweaks that need to be made, but basically, don't worry about it. We're still moving forward. So when I go back tonight, remember when I said what is happening, someone else was working on my behalf. Someone else, one thing came, and then someone else said, no, that doesn't apply to her. That is the favor of God, because it could have. At the end of the day, guess what? The person who sent it to me thought it applied to me too at the time, until they had to have a different conversation with somebody else who can actually make a difference. But I know for a fact that had I just threw my hands up in the air, and had I been pouty in the temper tantrum and being regular degular bun, that might have went a different. And I this is what I believe, because I can look over the history of my life and know the times that I don't surrender to God's will and I try to force my will. It don't ever work out for me. But when I surrender to his will, God says, thank you. Thank you. All I needed was your obedience. That is all this year is going to be about, is your obedience. And as easy as it sounds, the words are just what it sounds like. It is hard, But ultimately, obedience is our responsibility. That is the only thing that we are responsible for. That is the only thing that God is concerned with, is that our obedience. And this journey of slaying self-doubt is all about that. Like, we literally, if you really break it down to like the basis of it, of the things of what you're afraid of, what you're scared to do, what you feel like you're unqualified to do, the things that keep you up at night at the same time. Like, these are things that you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. I really don't know. But at the same time, you're like, I have to, right? You just have to. You got to do it, right? Like, I don't really know any other way but to say it, but you have to be obedient. Like, that is my encouragement to you all year long. Like, trust what you know to be true. Trust it. Like, for real. I really believe that where God is taking each and every one of us on this path, like the path that He has given us, He can't do it without us. Now, I do believe that recently I watched the sermon. My pastor actually had a sermon. He's a series talking about favor. And he basically in the last sermon was saying that, favor can be revoked. And it doesn't necessarily have to be done with you, but it could be your legacy. But that still is tied to obedience. If you think that, oh, I got it and that's it, like you start to get cocky, like, oh, well, God got me, I ain't worried about it, blah, 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 and you don't think you need to do no work, okay. He don't need you to do what he needs to do. Trust me, when we know that he don't need you. He wants you to do it, but it's for our benefit. But if you think you can do better than him, you think you know better than him, go right ahead. Try. It ain't gonna work out for you. It ain't worked out for me when I think that I should do something different than what he says. And so this year, as we're just going to continue to do this and continue to push, and as things kind of change for me in multiple different ways, like, I have to remain obedient in whatever it is that God is calling me to do. And so like I say, these last couple of episodes have really been about that, because it just really is like, I want to hit that point of like, you have to do more. This is what we have been doing is not enough. We've been talking about a whole lot of stuff. And so I need you, definitely, if you haven't listened to the last couple of episodes, please go listen to the last couple of episodes. The first episode was about the year of doing. Second episode was about getting out your feelings, and this one is taking inventory, right? And so today you want to take inventory of what has happened. We'll run God's track record, right? Take inventory of what's happening right at this very moment. What is happening in your life? What is present day that you can be like, God is moving? And then what's coming? I can guarantee you, we all got stuff that we be like, no, that actually is on the, I ain't even, if I really think about it, like, I wasn't even expecting that. And it showed up, right? He is moving all around us. That is the, like, for me, it is evidence of God, like past, present, and future. That's like, inventory is past, present, and future. That is evidence of God. And so I'm saying, look for the evidence of Him in your life versus focusing on the things that's not happening. You'll be better off. Trust me. As always, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. If you find this podcast enjoyable and you find it valuable, I want you to consider making a donation by buying me a coffee. My goal for this year is to do more podcast videos. I know video is king, and we want visual stuff, and so I really need to get more video equipment, right? Like, Zoom is cool. Hey, Zoom. But I want to be able to give you the quality that you deserve. I want to make sure the lighting is right. I probably need a new microphone, all of that different stuff. And I want to be able to create new content, more content, and reach more people. And I need your help in doing that. So again, if you find this podcast valuable, you feel like it's impacting you, I would just ask that, you make a donation, buy me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. I said earlier, Jesus in Therapy, take charge of your mental health. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. Get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com. That's HELP /slang, SLAYING. Again, y'all, Jesus in Therapy. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. Please, please, please share this with at least 10 people. We are trying to hit 100,000 downloads this year, and I cannot do it without you. So I would be very appreciative if you could do that, like right now. As soon as this ends, go ahead and do that. Follow me on Instagram, y'all, because that's where I be at. Until next week. See ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.